possible which way. I'm going to do the New South Wales Government's pathetic apology to the past forgotten Australians. And it's significant because we were forgotten then, we're forgotten now, and the current lost generation is completely forgotten. So what actually happened for forgotten Australians was the Legislative Assembly, which is the lower house of the Parliament of New South Wales, on the 23rd of June 2005, there was a question asked during question time by the Honourable, at that time, Dr. Peter Wong, and he asked why there had been no apology or no acknowledgement of the forgotten Australians. Now, we consist of about 500,000 people, all of which were children in care, and that includes several thousand immigrants that were forced out from countries like, if you have a look at the Forgotten Australian poster over there, you'll see the countries involved. So the United Kingdom, Malta, the countries that forced their young people, who even had families, onto ships and sent them to Australia to create a post-World War II workforce in Australia. And it was all endorsed by the United Kingdom and the Australian governments. Anyway, so this was the apology that was given by, at that stage in 2005, the Honourable Tony Kelly. And he said, I understand to pass the suggestion mentioned by the Honourable Peter Wong, who asked the question, on to members in the Legislative Assembly. I point out Miss Reba Mayer recently made an apology on behalf of successive New South Wales government. Now this is the first and the only apology by the New South Wales government, because these words had just been repeated throughout the years. And these are the words. On behalf of the New South Wales government, I accept and acknowledge the emotional, physical and sexual abuse suffered by many of the children entrusted to institutional care in this state. I therefore have the honour of offering them this heartfelt and sincere apology. The Government of New South Wales apologises for any physical, psychological and social harm caused to the children and any hurt and distress experienced by them while in the care of the state. We make this apology in the hope that it may help the process of healing. The New South Wales Government is strongly committed to supporting families to reduce the need for children to be in care. Where children and young people are placed in care, the Government will assist with the services available to them. We hope that this apology will be accepted in the spirit in which it is made, and that the New South Wales Government, our community partners and the community at large can continue to work together to build a better and safer place in which our children can live, grow and flourish. We know we need to listen to these people and to work with them to make this a reality. I thank the House for the opportunity to make this important and most overdue statement. I hope this apology, along with the other measures I have outlined today, will help bring healing and help to those young people who at a vulnerable time in their lives were let down by the system. Now, this was not planned. This was as a response to a question on notice. A year later, in October 2006, the government again brought it up in question time, and the same response was given. Then, on the 12th of November 2009, again the question was raised in Parliament just prior to the federal apology by, at the time, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd on the 12th of November 2009. And that was responded to by both the Minister at the time, who was Linda Burney for Community Services, and then Pru Gowards, who was the Shadow Minister. But what I want to go and say to you is that just prior to the federal government national apology, there was a commemorative ceremony, they called it, of remembrance which was performed by Premier Nathan Reeves on the 19th of September 2009, and that was to coincide with the national apology that followed a couple of days later. Now, he did nothing really significant in that speech other than repeat the 2005 few words of apology that I've already read out, and he unveiled a plaque which sits in the Botanical Gardens in Sydney, and what I can tell you is that plaque is filthy, covered in moss, the gardens are overgrown, the seat right near it is unsittable, and we are trying very hard to get it brought up to scratch, because the Botanical Gardens are a tourist attraction, but just like the Forgotten Australians, it's been placed in some forgotten part of the Botanical Gardens where it's not even kept up to date. But of significance, on the day of the federal apology, Linda Burney made these words, and she said, "Lost Innocence and Forgotten Australians report found that up to 500,000 children and young people were placed in orphanages, children's homes and foster homes across the country. But as many as 200,000 children were placed in institutional care in New South Wales alone." So again, New South Wales, both with the stolen generation, Forgotten Australians, and we're about to get to the apology of past forced adoptions, leads the nation in the amount of children that they take into care. Now, she just basically repeats a little bit of what Kevin Rudd said at the national apology, but the only other thing that I want to read out is what Pru Gowards said at the time, because that's why we're here, about the current minister. She was a shadow minister at the time. So she said, "We, the opposition, join with the government of the day," which was the Labor government, "in welcoming the apology from the Prime Minister to child migrants and forgotten Australians on Monday the 15th of November. Now these words are very significant. She says, "In addition, there is now great recognition of the damage that can be done to a child early in its life by abuse and neglect. I guess we have all learnt profound lessons from what happened to these children in institutional care. I do not think we will ever see that occur again, and perhaps from time to time governments err on the side of caution, and perhaps we are occasionally inclined to think the best place for all children in all circumstances is with their families, when occasionally that is clearly not the case. What we have learned, not just as a community in New South Wales, not just as a nation of Australia, not just as part of the Western world, is that institutionalised care gives some people the absolute power that corrupts absolutely. When it comes to the lives and well-being and care for children, that power can be exercised in many terrible ways. The role of churches in this cannot be forgotten. I look forward to the churches making their own reparation, but overwhelmingly today, in this day, when members of the New South Wales Parliament join together, is not only acknowledging the events that will be occurring with the national apology and acknowledging our own apology, but also in saying we can and we are determined to do better by the children of New South Wales. Now that was made on the 12th of November 2009, over 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
I'm now going to call on a young lady who's going to read out for us